Okay, well, we started the new parak yesterday. We saw that for Yibum and for all these surim, that the beginning of marital relations, the beginning of intimacy, would go ahead and make you chayiv or kona, depending on the situation. We call the beginning of intimacy hara. We'll see tomorrow, Bez Hashem, Machlois exactly what hara is. We wanted to know, where do you know that from? And we tried a few examples, nida and Ach, neither he, and we concluded that it's a chalent. The whole parsha that we learned Shabbos, Perikut Ches, is all together, and it says nida, and Rabbi Yomi says that everything is mukish lenida. So just like nida, it says hara, you be chayiv, so too all hara is be chayiv. So therefore, it lends itself when it says in the pasuk, the ervas achas imcha, your aunt, your maternal, for your aunt, the achas aficha, paternal aunt. It says ara, it's also in the parsha. So why is it necessary? So it's extraneous, right? It's extraneous. So you learned behema from there. That the behema also is hara. So now the Gemara wants to know, by achas avicha, how do you know maybe it's only your father's brother from a father, not from a mother? And then what had to studim? We can compare to achaisa, or you compare to daidasai. What was daidasai? The dasa was unique. It was the wife of your uncle. And the chiddush was, if it's your father's brother from the mother, you would not be chayiv. It's only the father's brother from the same father. In other words, your father's a brother. How did they become brothers? They became brothers because either they had the same father or they had the same mother. If they became brothers because they had the same mother and you had a wife, you would be pater. So the Gemara wants to know. So the Gemara wants to know, where do you know that from? That's where we're picking it up. So it does say, where do you know that chiddush from? That in fact, that if your father's maternal brother, right, his wife would not be us, your father's maternal brother, right? They have the same mother, and they have what? They have is married, and you're not be chayiv for daidasa. How do you know that from? So we're picking it up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 lines in the bottom. 10 lines in the bottom on Sadik Dalit on mid base. The daidasa the pshitale, the tana, that it was obvious, it was that we took for granted the mina avalei mina aim minole. Where do you know that your father's maternal brother, right, his wife would not be chayiv? Samarava asya doi 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 doi. You have a gezer shava do 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 do. Sivhach, it says the ervas do do gila. The erva of his do is aunt. He was megala. Sivhasam. This is in Parshas Bahar. It says over there regarding an Eved Ivri who was so poor he had to sell himself into bondage to a guy, and now he's being redeemed. It says oy doi doi oy ben doi doi yigolenu. It says there, it says dodo, should go ahead and redeem him. Malahalan, just like in the Pasha of Geula, mina of v'loy mina aim. Just in the Pasha of Geula, it says just there it has to be mina of v'loy mina aim. Avkan mina of v'loy mina aim. So just like the Pasha of being goyal is only a paternal, not maternal, so too in the parsha of Erva, it's paternal and not maternal. So too in the parsha of Erva, it's paternal and not maternal. Good. Now, for Hosaminola and Gufa there in the parsha of Geula, my Eved Ivri, where do you know that what? That in fact, maternal is out, only paternal. So Omakra, again, the whole pasuk is, the pasuk is, Obendodo, Ododo, Obendodo, Yugolenu, Oymisher Besarai, Mimishpachto Yugolenu. It says Mimishpachto Yigolenu, Mishpachas Av Kruya Mishpacha, Mishpachas Aim Ena Kruya Mishpacha. Good. Mishpacha of your father is called what? Your mishpacha, the mishpacha of your mother is not. So therefore, if established by dodo, it's speaking about paternal because mishpachas, and it says dodo. Who adin by ever? It says dodo. It means only what? Paternal and not maternal, and that's the given from yesterday. Now, the Gemara is going to ask, what about achas ishto? We know that you can't marry your wife's sister. Is it mean your wife's sister from the same father for sure, or also from the same mother, or just the same father? How do you know that, guys? Now we know it's asa, right? We do know. Regardless whether it's your wife's maternal or paternal sister, you will be asa. Good. The Gemara, to prove its point, is going to bring in a very difficult Mishnah later on in Masechtas Yevamot. We will go through it very, very quickly because again, it's only bringing in the isser that whether it's your wife's sister from the same father or the same mother, that's all it's for. But to get there is quite involved. So if you have your books, that would be great. If you have your books, you open it up to page 244. you don't have your book, look at somebody, because there's Mendy's you 244. Okay, let's get the batting order. Okay, Malka and Rivka are paternal sisters, right? Guys, you see on the left, we're going left to right. Malka and Rivka are paternal sisters. They have the same father with different mothers. Sarah and Yocheved have the same father and different mothers. They're maternal. And then you have what? You have Rivka. So now, what's the relationship between Sarah and Malka? Not at all. There's no relationship between Sarah and Malka, correct? The relationship of Sarah is with Rivka. Good? Yes. Again, Sarah and Rivka are half, but Sarah and Malka are none. Okay. Yocheved and Sarah are half. Yocheved and Rivka are none. Dina and Yocheved are half, but Dina and Sarah are none. Good? So now, here's what happens. Reuven marries Malka. Second line 2. Reuven marries Malka, and goes overseas. He gets a report that Malka is dead. So now he marries Rivka. That's a maternal sister, right? It's a maternal sister. Good. Now he finds out, he hears that she's dead. Good. And now he marries Sarah. So now Sarah and Rivka, they have the same mother. They have the same mother, right? So they're half sisters. And then finds out she's dead. So he marries Yocheved. And then finds out, he's next page, finds out, and then lo and behold, guess what? You find out that they're all alive. Okay, so watch, guys. Guys, watch. Okay, again, listen, this is like you can't make it up. And also, Yevamot didn't want to go out easily. But you have the setup. Guys, 1, 3, and 5 are okay, 2 and 4 are not. Right, watch. Why? Watch. The Kedushin to Rivka wasn't Kedushin because Malka was still alive. So the Kedushin wasn't Typhus.
Later on.
No, not retroactively. That was typhus in the first place. You thought your wife's sister was dead, and your wife was dead, and she wasn't. You married the sister. If she was alive, it's not typhus. It's chayve krisis, right? Everyone is made not sure that kedushin is typhus by chayve krisis, right? That kedushin is not typhus by chayve krisis. So therefore, Rivka is out now. You married Sarah, but Sarah's kedushin is typhus, right? Because Rivka's wasn't, yes? Because Sarah and Malka are not connected at all, guys, correct? Right. Guys, you good? They're not connected at all. However, the kedushin to Dina, if it was not typhus, why? Because Yocheved is a sister. So it comes out that what? 1, 3, and 5 are good. 2 and 4 are no good. And then in Yibum, we're going to discuss that later on. The bottom line is, what do you see from here? That whether it's your maternal or paternal sister, they're out of the ballpark. That's all we need. Let's go. I mean, you want to spend a lot of time on this. Don't worry, you'll get back to this enough Tzaddik Zion. Don't. I'm not shortchanging you. Trust me. You'll get back to this. I just want to, I want to tell it to. So now, says the Gemara. Amru like Mesa Ishtacha. They say Malka died. Vanasa Chaysi married his sister. Which sister? Me'avir. They have the same father, paternal. Mesa. They say his second wife died. Vanasa Chaysim Ima, and you marry her maternal sister. Mesa, you say that one died. Vanasa Chaysim Me'avir. You marry that paternal sister. Mesa Vanasa Chaysim Ima. You muta b'rishayna in the first one. Shlish is the third. B'chamish is in the fifth. 2 and 4. The kedusha wasn't typhus at all. Guys, that's it, right? You got it. Upoteres Sarah Sayim. If you say they really pater Sarah, Vyasa b'shniyah b'revius, Vyasa number 2 and number 4. Vein bi'achas mehem b'teres Sarasa. Then boy al shniyah la'achem misas rishayna. If you live with number 2 after one's dead, muta b'shniyah, you be permitted. Ubrevius, and then you muta in 2 and 4. Upoteres Sarah Sayim. Vyasa b'shlish b'chamish Vyasa in 3 and 5. Bottom line is, guys, Alma, what do you see? Achas Ishtay, your wife's sister, Bein Mina Av, Bein Mina Aim, Asuras, Minalan. That's all you want. You brought that in just to tell me that what? That Achas Ishtay is both paternal and maternal, right? That's why I don't want to spend a lot of time on it. Now, where do you know that from? So Yalaf Me'achaysay. Let's learn it from sister. Now we know that what? Whether it's your maternal or paternal sister, it's Asa. Ma'achaysay, Bein Mina Av, Mina Aim. Afkan, so to be achas ishta, your wife's sister, bein mina av, bein mina aid. Good. Now, it's very good. Let's learn out from what? From the wife of your uncle. And over there, it's dafka paternal, your father's paternal brother, not your father's maternal brother. And therefore, we'll see over here, achas ishta is also maternal sister would not be usher. We just introduced that. We spent time on it. Afkan, so to be achas ishta, your wife's sister, mina of only paternal, v'loy mina aim. Says no. Mistabra, it makes sense to say, given my druthers, I'll go ahead and learn out achas ishto from achoso, rather than what from dodo. Shekain kroiva atzmai mikroiva atzmai. They're both your kroivim. They're both achas. It's achas ishtoi, and achoso is both your kroivim. So, but b'shein kein deidasai says no other rabbim deidasai avalim of shekain davar al yidei kedushin midavar shei kedushin. Guys, why is achas ishtoi asa? Because it's your wife's sister. Why is achoso asa? Right? In other words, achas ishtoi comes about through kedushin, correct? You were mekadesh your wife, and therefore the sister became asa. Why is your sister asa? Automatically, it has nothing to do with kedushin. It's from birth. What about your aunt, your wife, your father's maternal sister? It's a kedushin. So therefore, that's more comparable to what achos ishto than achos. So in other words, I have two ways to go. It's not necessarily etched in stone. Clearly, you should go after achoso just because what it's kreivas atzmai. Says the Gemara, Ella, what do you have to say? Therefore, you cannot learn out achoso from achos ishto from achoso. I can learn it from the daso. Therefore, we need another source. Ella me eshes ach yalfinon. I'm going to learn out that what from eshes ach achos ishto. Guys, just like eshes ach, your wife's brother, it's no difference whether it's a paternal brother or a maternal brother. Who adin your wife's sister? There's no difference whether it's paternal or maternal. In other words, we shifted gears. Initially, we learned from Achoso. Now we're learning from your brother's wife, Eshes Ach. And that's also Ayidei Kedushin, correct? For your brother be Mekad to somebody, therefore that becomes us. And there we know Eshes Ach, there's no difference whether it's paternal or maternal. The Shekin Dabal Ayidei Kedushin, the Kroive Atzmai. Okay, the Eshes Ach Gufa Minolan. Eshes Ach Gufa, how do you know? How do you know Eshes Ach? There's no difference. Had maybe maternal would be okay. The Tanya. Ervas Eshes Achicha. The erva of the wife of your brother, leisagala, and we say beimina of ubeimina aim, whether it's what paternal or maternal. At the oimer beimina of beimina aim, or ena elamina of v'loimina aim, maybe only eshes ach from a paternal brother, not a maternal brother. V'dinhu, and the din is that what that it should be that way. Chai ve'kan v'chai ba'chaisai. Yechai by eshes ach and yechai by sister. Now, what do you know we're going to do, guys? Oh, we're going to break out the old Deidasai. Let's go in the other direction. You chayiv over here, and you chayiv by aunt. By your aunt. That's the wife of your father's brother. Mina Av is only your father's paternal brother, the wife of the father's paternal brother, but not the wife of the father's maternal brother. Afkan, so to be Ishes Ach. Mina av mina aim. So near lemi daima, who will I say it's comparable to? Done in krevi atzmai, krevi atzmai. It's a curve of the father and not what you. Done in davashal yidei kedushin, midavashal kedushin by eshes ach, and they das is yidei kedushin. Therefore, you have to tell me ervais achicha he bein mina av bein mina aim. Okay, so now ervais achicha. So therefore, I know whether it's paternal or maternal. That your wife's, your Eshes Ach would be what would be. In other words, the pasuk repeats it, guys. Here's what the pasuk says. The pasuk says, "Ervas Eshes Achicha loy segala." What does that mean? The erva of your wife, of your brother's wife. Good. We didn't know which way it goes, so it repeats it. Ervas Achicha he. It's repeating ervas achicha. Why is it repeating ervas achicha? To stress beimina avu beimina aim. It's repeated to tell me whether even it's paternal or maternal. Good. So therefore, if that's paternal maternal, I can learn out what achas ishto. Guys, I can learn out achas ishto from there and say that what achas ishto also as well would be beimina av beimina aim. Okay, we're on the Taisus parallel to the Taisus lishtikra mishpachas charufa. Okay, that's to cover my son just joined. Ve'ema says the Gemara, idi be'eshes ach mina av. Guys, we have again one pasuk with two things, guys. Why does it say, look, It says in Perik Yuches Pasuk Tezayin, Ervas Eishes Achicha Loisagala, Ervas Achicha Hu. You're repeating it, correct? We're saying one is for Mina Av and one is for Mina Ein. Maybe they're both Mina Av. Maybe the repetition is both Mina Av. Ervas Achicha is both Mina Av. Why would you need two? Chada the Yesh Bonim B'chaye Baila. One where you have children and there's no yibum, but there's a child, there's no yibum. V'chada the Ein Bonim B'chaye Baila, and one where you do not have Bonim B'chaye Baila, right? It says the Gemara, Ein Bonim B'chaye Baila Midrav Huna Nafka. That I already learned out yesterday. We compared Eishes Ach to Nida. Guys, yesterday, remember, Vayesh says Nida he, and we compared to Nida. Just like Nida, we said B'shas, the Isser is there, so too, as long as you don't burn him, this is there. So we compared that already. So therefore, back to square one, you have Eishes Achicha said twice. The Ema Idi Be'Eishes Ach Mina Av. Chada Diyesh Leibanim B'chaye Baila. One where your brother has children. And two, v'chada diyesh leibanim la'acha misas baila, and once she has children after the husband dies, that if she dies and has children born afterwards, that it's still asa. Yesh leibanim la'acha misas baila leitzricha kra. You don't need a pasuk for that. Midamar achmana she'en labanim muteres. When the Torah tells us that a Yevamot is muta when there is no children, the diak is hayesh leibanim asura. Then when she has banim, she's asa. So I don't need the pasuk for that. So therefore, I must use the second Eishes Achicha for aim. Okay, here's the kasha, guys. Watch. The pasuk says, "Ervas Achicha leSegala, Ervas Achicha he." That's you have two. The Gemara says once for paternal brother, maternal brother. The Gemara is now suggesting maybe it means what? It means both paternal. Good. One for no children, one for yes children, one for children after you dies. Says the Gemara, no. One for children after you dies, I can figure out from the fact that the mitzvah is only when you have no children. Mashma, if you have children, then there's no mitzvah. So therefore, the pasuk must be extra to teach me maternal. Okay, that's what we're holding right now. Says the Gemara, no. Maybe that diak is not a good diak. Maybe the diak you're making right now is not a good diak. If she has no banim, she's also to the world. She's Yevamot l'shuk, guys. Good. Ein la banim, guys. Eishes ach Yevamot l'shuk, right? Ein la banim, also to the whole world. Ein la banim should be also to the whole world. For shari liyavam, and she'd be permitted to the yavam. Yesh la banim, if she does have banim, shari la alma b'shari liyavam. Maybe she'd be permitted. In other words, I make that diak. In other words, guys, what's your diak? Your diak is you don't need a pasuk to tell me that if she has children after his death, that maybe that it's asa, but you wouldn't know maternal sister. Why? So think about 1 second. You have an inference. What's the inference? If the mitzvah is when you have children, when you don't have children, obviously when you have children, you're out. Says no. Maybe here's the inference. The inference is the following: when there's no children, she's also on the whole world. She's mutter to him. But if there's children, then she's mutter to the whole world. And she's also mutter to him. Maybe says inami, or else ein loy banim mitzvah yesh loy banim mishus. Maybe there's no son is a mitzvah, and if there's a banim it's rishus. Inami ein loy banim in yesh loy banim loy, and it's v'lava bo mechalasehu. In other words, it's not an open lav; it's an inference, and it won't be a chiyuv. Therefore, kasav krachrina, the pasuk says ervas achiv kila. The erva of achiv, he was megala. That's in Perichaf, pasuk chaf aleph. In other words, so this pasuk alone of ervas isha achicha leisagala ervas achicha, you would know it. You have another pasuk, the ervas isha sheyikachas eshes achiv nidahi ervas achiv gila. So in Perich Kedoshim it says ervas achiv gila to teach me what a maternal brother, meaning if you're a brother that has the same mother, you would be usher on marrying his wife. Guys, so here's what we did. We initially thought from the pasuk of ervas achicha leisagala, ervas achicha he can teach me paternal, maternal. We're saying no, so therefore we're saying this teaches me paternal, and then we have the pasuk in Parshas Kedoshim ervas achicha gila to teach me maternal. So therefore, Eishes Ach, whether it's from the same, they have brothers from the same father or brothers from the same mother, their wife would be usher. That's what we're holding right now. Fred the Gemara, ve'ema eshes achmina aim ke'eshes achmina av. Ma eshes achmina av la'acha misas baila sharia. Af eshes achmina aim la'acha misas baila sharia. One thing we know by the end of this Masechta, Yibum is only by paternal brothers, right? Yibum is only by paternal brothers. Now, you're telling me that there was an issue of Eishesach, that in the same ballpark, you can't marry the wife of your brother, so maybe Yibum would apply there as well. Maybe Yibum would apply there as well by a maternal brother. So Amakra, it says, Ervas avicha he, that means b'hayivasa tehei. She should be in her state, meaning there's never a heta. She will always be what? She'll always be usher. Ervas achicha he. It says he by vasate. She should always be that way. She should always be what in that state. Okay. Now, since we're in the parsha of Limudim, we said yesterday's limud from Rabbi Yaina or Rabbi Yaina. So we have a Gavaldig Kasha. Okay. At the end of Parshas, Achrei Mois, it said, the pasuk said, Ki kol asher yaseh mikol ha'eva se'elu, v'nichvzu anafashe so'esim mikarav amam. So that pasuk said, whoever did whatever was in that previous pasuk would be usher as karis. Everything that's in there will be usher karis. Good. That's how we knew. That's how we knew hara. We knew hara because everything that's in the parsha. Again, so you had a whole parsha of all the arayos, guys. Look at me. And in the parsha of arayos, right? At the end, you had a concluding statement. Even though this is the parsha of warning, there was no oynish stated in Parsha Achrei Mos, yet the Torah felt compelled to go ahead and say at the end of the parsha, it's all one thing. You're going to get kares. Good. Therefore, it makes sense to say any one of those arayos, it should never say kares, because I know it. I know it from the hekesh of Rabbi Yaina. So therefore, it's a problem, because if you look by Nida in Perek Chaf, Pasik Perek Chaf Pasik Zayin, it says the following: the ish ashayikach es achoso bas avivoy bas imo, a man who takes his sister, whether it's the sister of his father, the sister of his mother, v'ro es ervasa, v'sir es ervasoy, they're obviously mizana, chesed hu, v'nichvasu le'neim b'nei amam, they get karis. Frag the Gemara, why is it necessary to state they get karis in Parshas Kedoshim? We know it from Rabbi Yoina's Hekesh, guys. Because in Achrei Mos, it says Nida. So it says Nida, and then it says his karis on that. So why in Parshas Kedoshim does he single out karis? I know it already from it, just like I know hara from Rabbi Yoina's Chiddush, that Nida goes on the whole parsha. I know the karis goes on the whole parsha. So if the karis goes on the whole parsha, why is it necessary to single out karis in Parshas Kedoshim? That's the Gemara's kasha now. And the Gemara is just going to do a lot of loose ends. Why in the parsha of Arayos, really, this is the time to go over parsha. It's very interesting. It's coming out this time. This is the time to go over Parshas Achrei Mos and Kedoshim. After you do this Gemara, guys, with Rashi's, you'll see how beautiful it is, because it's unbelievable. The Rashi, without the Rashi, yeah, and Rashi would know what's going on without the Gemara. The Gemara, this is a classic. The classic Torah Sheba'al Peh is necessary in Parshas Arayos, because it seems repetitious and ambiguous. Anyway, listen how geschmack this is, guys. So now, Achosa de Kosev ba Karis Lamali. Why in Parshas Kedoshim do you have to write v'nichvasu? It's unnecessary. I know it from Parshas Achrei Mos. And for the Gemara, you need Rabbi Yochanan. Dam Rabbi Yochanan, Shem Asa Kulam Behelm Achas Chayva Kolachas V'Achas. Fellas, do you remember in Shabbos? Why does it say Leisivaru Eish B'chol Ma'is V'Seichem? It says, guys, Leisivaru Eish B'chol Ma'is V'Seichem. It says Leisasu Kamalacha. Why do you take that out? So it was two pshatim. One to say Malchus. In other words, everything else gets what? Gets skil or karis. And lighting a fire, you get Malchus. There was another pshat, Lechalik. In other words, you would have thought you only chayiv in Shabbos when you're over in all 39. So it took out one to tell you, no. Just like you're over in that one, you'll be over in each and every one. So that's what Rabbi Yochanan says. The exact same thing here by what? By Aroyas. You would have thought that what? You're over in all the Aroyas. You chayiv only one karis. Kamashvelo by taking karis out of the pasha, it's lachalik and say no. You're going to be chayiv for this one and 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 this one. All of them comes out lachalik. It's the exact same limud as we had by Shabbos. Says that's according to Rabbi Yochanan. Fred Gemara Rabbi Yitzchak the Amar. This is for the people who learned Masechta Makkos with their kids and did in the third parak well instead of just Edom Zvanim and Golos. Right? Says the Gemara. Rabbi Yitzchak the Amar Kol Chayve Krisis Bechal Hayu. All the Chayve Krisis what Mechal Kol Yasim Kol Teres Ela Yatz the Karis B'Chaysay Ledoine B'Karis Leila Malchus to tell me that you don't get Malchus for that. So Lecholik Minalon. Where does he know that from? In other words, Rabbi Yitzchak uses the limud of taking a choso out for a different limud totally to teach me if you would warn a person who is with his sister and say you can get malchus, you won't get malchus. So mechalik to be mechalik and say, but if you're over in Aroyas and one helam achas and one alama, you chayv on each and every one. Where does he know that from? Nafklei, it says el isha benidas bitumasa. It didn't have to say the word isha. It could have said el nidas bitumasa. What is el isha? L'chayva kol isha v'isha. To be chayv on each isha. Okay, good. Now, going along those lines, guys, since it says chorus at the end of the parsha, there are other psukim in the Torah that speak about chorus. For example, the pasuk says, "The ish asher yishkav es doidasoi, ervas doidoi gila, chetam yisau, aririm yamusu. Ish asher yikach es eshes achiv, nidahi, ervas achiv gila, aririm yiyu." Aririm means without children. So again, why do you tell me without children? We know that already. And also in addition, it seems to be aririm yiyu means you are, and yumusu means you will be. So what do you do with the yiyu and the yamusu? Fred Gemara Kasha. Aririm the Kosa Be Rachmana Aririm Yiyu Lamali. What do you need it for? After all, Aririm means Karas. We know the Chi of Karas already. Says the Rabbi. The Rabbi Rami. Rabbi asked about a stira. The Rabbi Rami, Rabbi asked the stira. Ksiv, it says what? Aririm Yiyu. It says what? You should be Aririm. Aririm Yiyu. Uksiv, Aririm Yamusu. Now Yiyu means you should be, and Yamusu you are, and Yamusu you should be. So Yiyu means going, if you had children, now Yiyu, they'll die. Yamusu means if you don't have children, they won't be born. Okay, tzad yesh labonim koivrim. If you have children, le'aleinu koivrim, you'll bury them, that's Yiyu. Ein le'bonim, then hoylech hariri. If you don't have, then you will go without. Because Rahman Arim Yiyu have amin, I would say, adchata, only the children that were born before you did the chait. But from chait and onwards, any child born would not go ahead and incur the punishment. Because Rahman Arim Yamusu, the ones born will die. Because Rahman Arim Chimusu Avmin Amichat Ve'elech from the chait and onwards. Avamei Korah, but those born before Allah, he said, Tzricha to tell me both, you would go ahead and be Ara. Okay, very snap. Harod the chayve lavim minalan. Now, where do you know? We know hara by chayve krisus. It says hara by nida, and we have Rebbe Yona's hekesh. Guys, good. Famous shivan al hekesh. Right? You'd have a kasha, right? Nida is matamid boyala. So how can you learn anything out from nida? Nida is matamid boyala. And we have a rule, Eimei shivan al hekesh. Hekesh is such a powerful limud, you don't have a kasha in the hekesh, guys. So now, going along those lines, Gemara's geschmack is anything. Now, harod the chayve lavim minalan. How do you know by chayve lavim you chayv hara? Maybe chayve lavim you need what? You need Gemara bia. Maybe hara is not enough. Says the Gemara, midigoli rachmana shichva zera gabi shivcha rufa. Now it says by shivcha harufa the following. Guys, shivcha rufa is it's machloek exactly what it is, but for all intents and purposes, we know in Pashas Mishpatim, if an Eved Ivri is married, he can marry a shivcha kanainis, and those children born will remain the isha of v'yadeha tiyel adoneha. They're going to be tuah to the master. So let's say a person would be mizana with a shivcha that was engaged to an Eved Ivri. Now an Eved Ivri is a full-fledged Jew. So what happens if you would go ahead and be mizana with that woman? So the halacha is it's not considered neshes ish. That's called a shifcha charufa, and that's the osham shifcha charufa of osham fame that you say every morning if you say the kabbanis. That's an osham shifcha charufa. Good. So now, why there it says something? Here's the pasuk, guys. The pasuk says, "The ish ki yishka ves isha shichva zera, v'hi shifcha nechrefes leish." It says shichva zera, and she's nechrefes leish. So when it says the lashon is shichva zera, that means it's not hara. It must be gemar and bia. Good. Says the Gemara the following. How do you know by hara? By chayve lavim, says the Gemara, midigoli rachmana shichva zera gabi shivcha charufa. When it says regarding a shivcha charufa, over there you need a gemar bia. Mechal de chayve lavim. After all, shivcha charufa is a chayve lavim, and it uniquely spells it out over there. It must be all shar chayve lavim is hara. If they all were gemar bia, why would you have to single it out by shivcha charufa? Ella, it must be, since they single it out by shivcha charufa, tell me this is unique. Even though it's chayve lavim, this is unique that you need gemar bia. But any other chayve lavim will be enough hara. Adarabba says, maybe since it says hara by chayve krisis from nida, maybe chayve lavim is not. Says the Gemara, and kain lishta kram shivcha charufa. Guys, if that's the case, the chayve lavim would be hara, be gemar bia. So why would you have to say anything by shivcha charufa? Memela, all chayve lavim, shivcha charufa is bechlal chayve lavim. So why would the Torah have to go ahead and say shichva zera if they're all gemar bia? Now it must be when it goes ahead and spells it out. It must be that what all is hara. Dafke here, shmamina, guys. We have a raya. This is where you know chayve lavim is b'shas hara. So it really comes a very, very, very shver. I mean, the only one we need gemar bia for is shivcha charufa. Everything else, whether chayve krisis, Mrs. Bezdin for sure, and even chayve lavim, you be chayve from the beginning of intimacy, what we call hara.
What's the Gemara's answer? How do we answer that, Adarabba?
The Gemara says, if you're telling me we're going to learn from chayve krisis. What is chayve krisis? Over there, hara, mashma, or chayve lavim will be gemar bia. So why would the Gemara have to single out gemar bia by shivcha charufa? If automatically it's gemar bia, it wouldn't have to say shichva zera. Automatically it is, right? Ella, when it singles out shichva zera over there, it must be all over it's chayve lavim is what is hara, and over here this chayve lav is what is. So you see from there that dia tells you don't learn it from chayve krisis. Now, for the Gemara kasha, chayve lavim de kahuna minala. Now the Mishnah said, right? Even a kohen gadol to a gerusha, a kohen gadol to a mana, or a kohen to a gerusha is hara. Good. Why? Maybe it's different. You know why? Because it's a lav that's not shava b'kol. Any one of us, if you're not a kohen, can marry a gerusha. Only Mendy can't marry, and Chaim Lax can marry a gerusha. But any one of us, Mendy, I'll put you in. Once in a while, we'll throw you a bone. So now, only Mendy and Chaim Lax can marry gerushas, but we could. It's a lav sheina shava b'kol. So maybe if it's a lav sheina shava b'kol, maybe we're not machmir by hara. So the Gemara wants to know hara, and the Mishnah said we are. Mishnah said we go after mishas hara. Minolan says it now. We're all familiar with the Gezer Shava kicha mistei Ephraim. Here's a kicha that's not mistei Ephraim. It says kicha, guys. It says ish asher yikach es achaysai. If a man takes his sister, now we know a sister already. Rad is chayve krisis. So we know from Nida and Rabbi Yonis Hekesh that a sister would be hara. And it says, Isha Zaina v'chalal le'yikachu. It says by a kohen, Isha Zaina v'chalal le'yikachu. So just like it says kicha by chaysai, and we know a chaysai is hara, so too it says kicha by what? The lashon of Asher Zaina v'chalal le'yikachu by kohen. So we know that what? That means b'shas hara. The chayve esei minalon, hainu chayve asei, that like for the Egyptian, the first two generations of an Egyptian, the chayv asei. It says the third generation you could, mashma the first two you can't, but it's a lava b'machal asei. How do you know they're also b'shas hara you be chayiv? Says the Gemara bia. We learn out bia. It says v'dor asiri yavoy by Mitzri, and it says la yavoy mamza b'kal Hashem. Guys, mamza is chayve lavim. We know chayve lavim mat because of shivcha harufa. Shivcha harufa, dafka shivcha harufa is gemar bia. All chayve lavim are not gemar bia. And among the shivcha chayve lavim is what? Is mamzer. And it says the lashon la yavai. And it says by what? By dar asiri. It's by the mitzvah dar shlishi. Yavai. So bia from Mamzer to teach me that what Chave say is also b'shas hara. Yevamot l'shuk minalan. How do you know Yevamot l'shuk? Now the question is, what is the Yevamot l'shuk? What is it? If it's a lav, we know lav. It's not say. It's not say. We got everything included. It says it's machlokes later on in the Gemara, guys. Ilaman the lav. Then it's similar to what to Chayve lavim, which you learn from Shivcha Charufa. Ilaman da masay. If it's a mandam, it's a say to marry her and not a lav. Then we learn out from bia from Mamzer. So either way, we know b'shas hara you will be what chayiv in the Yevamot l'shuk. Yevama liyabe minalan. How do you know a yavam to be yabim? You go b'shas what to not a navera. That b'shas bia you'll be kind of b'shas hara and not a gemar bia. It says asa kicha kicha. You learn that kicha. It says kiyikach isha ubala. It says isha sheyikach es achaysai. Yeah, kiyikach isha ubala. Right, that we learn kedushin. Kedushin kiyikach isha ubala. And it says isha sheyikach es achaysai. Kiyikach isha ubala. And it says what kasiv hasam b'chavei krisis kicha. Lamali the liftam b'shich v'zer beishis. That's vaita. So I skipped. El Yevamot Yevamot Ashi bia. Excuse me, I skipped mine. I'm sorry, it made no sense to me either. I'm sorry. El Yevamot Yevamot and Ashi bia. It says La Yavi Mamzer B'chal Hashem. It says Yevamot Yavai Aleha. Yevamot Yavai La Yavai. Just like Yavai Mamzer is the din of hara, because we learned out from Mat Shif Charufa, who I didn't want. I'm sorry, I skipped the line. It made no sense to me either. Okay, says the Gemara, Isha l'bayla minalan. How do you know by Kedushin it's b'shas hara? When it says, there's three, Isha niknas b'kesav shtaru bia. How do you know bia is b'shas hara? Says the Gemara, kicha me'achaysai. It says by achaysai, v'isha she'ikach es achaysai, and it says kicha isha ubala. And achaysai we know what from Rabbeinu Yaina. Amar Rava. Now, if that's the case, guys, we've covered all bases, guys, right? We've covered all bases. Any chayve lavim sarah, any chayve lavim sarah, any chayve karis sarah, any chayve zasei sarah. So the only one that's not is shivcha charufa. So therefore, if we find it by any other of the arroyas, we got a problem, right? If we find the lashon of a gemar bia, shivcha zera by any one, we got a problem. It says Sfed Gemara Kasha. Amar Rabbi Lamali the kasach man shivcha zera b'shivcha charufa, shivcha zera be'eshes ish, and shivcha zera b'saita. We find three places in the Torah where it says shivcha zera. So the question, if we know all those already, we've learned out completely all those three places, guys, that it's a hara with the exception of shivcha rufa. Why does it say lashon of shivcha zera? Says Gemara shivcha zera kidamara. You already stated it to teach me that you wouldn't be chayiv and be over on the need to be an asham shivcha rufa unless there was a gemar bia. The Ashes Ish, what is Ashes Ish? The Shich Vazera Ashes Ish come to teach me. Pratlam Mishames Mace. If a person is Mishames and his Ava is not hard, why? And if the Ava is not hard, he can't be Mazriya Zera. There you will not be chayiv for being boiled in Ashes Ish. Feding Marakasha, Hanichel Mandiyama, Mishamesh Mace by Royas Potter. That's good according to my understanding. Mishames with his Ava is soft, is Potter. El Mandiyama chayiv Ma'ikla Meimar. Why do you use the Shich Vazera Wat by Ashes Ish for? El Pratlam Mishamesh Mesa. He's mishamish with an Ashes Ish after she died. She's dead. It says that a kohen could be mitama to she'eroi karve love, and it means isha. So I would think she'er is like a lotion of relative, and even if she's dead, she's called she'er, and you be chayev to be mishamish with a mace. Em l'chayev Allah be'Ashes Ish kamash malon, and isha shechavezer. It has to be she's alive. It says the saita lamali. Why does this say by saita shechvazera? The Chiditanya, Shechva Zera, Prat l'davar acher, excluding something else. Fred the Gemara, my davar acher, what is that something else? Rav Sheshes, Prat l'shekina lo shloi kedarka. If a man would go ahead and be chayish that his wife was shloi kedarka, and he's makana, he wants her, do not be with this man, shloi kedarka. Amay Rava, mishkvei isha kasiv. It says in the Pash of Saita, mishkvei isha, it's a lashon of mishkvei is lashon of plural. So therefore, I don't need the shich vazera to teach me that. I know from a shich isha. And I know it's the Adarab, it's the opposite. Elam Rava, prat l'shekina la derech evarim. That derech evarim, that he pushes up against her with his aver, or pushes his aver against any part of her body. So, and he warns her not to be with a man like that. That would not be in the parsha. She won't be a saita for that. Amalei Abaya, why do you need a pasuk for that? Pitzusa amra asarachmana. It's pritzas. It's pritzas asarachmana. But you're not going to kill the guy for that. Alam Rabbi pralish shekina bin shika, right? That minashika means what? That there wasn't, the aver did not go into the woman. It just went touched. So you would not be what? Bichayef saita if it was neshika. Very good. According to the Yevamot, it says we're going to see tomorrow's daf. Hara means that you have to have mamish hara, that the aver has to go in. That doesn't have to go in. That is in fact aser. So why do you tell me the shich v'zera by saita comes to teach me? You're right. The shekinah l'derech evarim. I said it's pizzas ba'alma. B'yitzrich. So to tell me that no. Salka that chaminan pikapei the baal tali rachmana. Saita is tali in the pod of the baal. And if the baal, whatever is makbid, he warns, you might think that what she could be brought to drink because of that. V'haka kapid in this makbid derech evarim kamash malon, that his hakpada is not the criteria. It has to be derech bia. That's why it says shich vas zera. Okay, stop over here. Tomorrow we'll continue. Thanks for listening. I appreciate it.